friends, I am Rob here with another episode of CardBoard, and today's going to be a bit different from other games that we've played. By now you're used to me standing here talking about the game, and then we cut to me and Alex, or possibly me, Alex, and his mom playing the game. And that would normally be how we would do things, but this we're going to do a little bit differently. You see, I have quite a few games, but it isn't always possible to play the games that I want to play. Sometimes Alex just doesn't want to. He's a teenager. What do you do? So that's a hindrance, certainly. But there are some games that I've collected over all the games I've got that aren't, well, a lot of fun. It's true. Not all games are created equal, and some games are, well, let's just say there are games that do the kind of fun they have, but better. It can be bad mechanics, it can be just tedium. Some people believe that there's almost, for all games, somebody's going to think that a game is boring. Some people love Monopoly, for instance. Some people are incredibly bored by Monopoly because once you get past that first couple of rounds of acquisitions, and it becomes kind of obvious for some people how the game is going to swing. And some people love the struggle of trying to eke out a victory by just, getting this key acquisition or putting that improvement at just the right time to sink an opponent. Some people really don't like that. Risk. Some people love the feeling of a teeter-totter that is on the precipice and trying to rocket to your side. Some people don't. Some people don't like a game like Axis and Allies that can go for hours and hours and hours and hours without resolution. To some people that's boring. To some people that's gripping. So, in this case, this is a classic game. And this one is from Selchow and Writer. It's not from Parker Brothers, not from Milton Bradley. Selchow and Writer is a game company that had been around for quite a long time. Actually, they're from the 1800s. But as far as I know, they went defunct in 1986, and their properties sold off to a bunch of other companies. This was the company that made Scrabble, Parcheesi, Trivial Pursuit. Well, in most cases, they didn't make the game, but they got and licensed the game and then produced it. In some cases, that's just as important, honestly. But that is kind of their shtick. That's what they did. Go for Broke came out, I believe, in the 1980s. I have a strong feeling it may have been influenced by the movie Brewster's Millions, which starred Richard Pryor as an heir who was given a large sum of money, millions of dollars, that he had to spend in a set amount of time to get his real inheritance, which was 10 times as much. If it was he had to spend $10 million in a month to get his $100 million inheritance, but he couldn't tell anybody about it, it was kind of a zany promise, not something that's likely to come up in a real world setting. But eventually, let's see if I'm trying to get a little bit of information here. Selchow was purchased by Coleco in 1986 for $75 million. They bought all the games, but they didn't get the trademark of the company's name. And in 1989, Coleco declared bankruptcy, and they sold their stuff to, well, Hasbro. So technically Hasbro owns the copyrights to this now. I don't think they're going to remake it, quite honestly. So, for this game, Go for Broke, concept, not terribly bad. There's not a lot of circumstances where a person is going to want to spend all their money to get down to absolute poverty, but it's an interesting concept. It's the vehicle that you lose money that really is the problem of this game. And a couple of things. First of all, the biggest problem is, well, there's two. First of all, it has a fairly standard board. This is the kind of board you'd see in any number of games from the 80s. It has a track, colorful. It has place for your cards, and you have receive and spend cards. Obviously, you want to get the spend cards to get rid of your money. The receive cards give you money. But you have $1 million, and you're playing around with a lot of money. The triviality of a lot of these cards really works against it. Sometimes you can gain $1,000 or $3,000, which is a drop in the bucket compared to the $1 million you have to spend. So that's kind of petty and trivial, which doesn't do anything to cut down the duration of the game. However, a lot of these spaces are only a couple of things. Number one, a lot of them will send you to the racetrack, to the stock market, or to the casino. Those are your three major destinations you will be going to all the time. Matter of fact, a lot of this track, you'll be flying around, you'll be going, and then a space will instantly send you to one of those spots. They're all over the place. So you're constantly doing those three events, and I'll get to those in a second. I'm holding it upside down. That looks good. There's a poorhouse in the center, and basically that's a place that money gets flushed to until somebody gets a go-to poorhouse and they have to take all the money. In the games that I've played, rarely is there a large sum of money in there. But, yeah. Every time you pass the poorhouse, you have to give $1,000 in. Again, $1,000 is not a significant amount of money in this game, so yeah. Other than that, almost all of these cards are go to one of those three places, stock market, racetrack, or casino, or take a card. That's most of it. There's a rest spot here or there. There's the pass by the poorhouse, a couple of wild places, but that's really most of the game, are those three events. So, okay, well, hey, Rob, that's not all that bad. What about the rest of it? Well, comes with a paper dice cup, which is fine. I mean, you know, it deforms, it's small. 2 dice, very lightweight. Are they carved wood? Yeah, I think they're carved wood dice. So, again, 1980s. The cup is so small that sometimes the dice get caught on the lip. It's possible, but that's relatively minor. The fact that they gave you a cup to roll is nice. And for the casino aspect, it is nice. But for one of the events, we'll talk about that. They give you 4 pawns, which are your red, yellow, green, and orange. No blue. I like blue. But big wad of cash, multicolored, appropriate for your typical Monopoly money. And because everybody starts out with $1 million, you get quite a bit of cash to start out with, and hopefully you're losing it as you go. So the cash gets a little bit easier. The banker's job is pretty brisk. You spend a lot of time managing all of the cash for everybody if you are the banker. Oh wait, no, there's blue. There's a blue pawn. My bad. So, yes. I thought there was. And then you have green receive cards, and you have red spend cards. These are small little cards, not even as big as the Monopoly Community Chest and Chance cards. They're thin and pliable, relatively easy to shuffle. Nothing too terrible about that. But the last thing that you get in this set, and this is something you will see a lot, so you might as well get used to it. These are spinners. There are spinners for those 3 different events that I talked about earlier. The stock market, the racetrack, and the casino. These are also generally going to be your primary way of bleeding off money. First of all, if you have stocks, which you can get from the spend and receive piles, if somebody lands on the stock market, you spin the stock market spinner. This only applies to people who have stocks. So if you have no stocks, this means nothing to you. Considering that you can end up in the stock market repeatedly when nobody has stocks, it's a complete waste of a spin. Fun. But your stocks can either... You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 equal spaces. You have utilities up, utilities down. Oil up, oil down. Steel up, steel down. If you have the the stock in question. If it goes up, you make money. If it goes down, you lose money. Generally, there's the possibility of losing more money than you can gain, so there's that. So odds are you have a better chance of losing money. If you end up in the extra dividends, you gain money for all of your stocks. It's kind of a pain. You generally don't want stocks. It's too much of a chance of getting money. But if you're playing the odds, it's only okay. The Racetrack, possibly the more interesting one of the lot. It has 4 different horses, but they have differing bands of size on the track. 4 is the smallest, then 3, then 2, and 1 is a full third of the dial. Now, you bet on a horse. You pick a horse to bet on, and you spin. If you give out, I believe it's $10,000. One of the things I'll give credit to this game for, as long as you have the box, you have the instructions printed on the inside of the box, and honestly, they should do that and give you a manual so you have something to refer to during the game. But for the racetrack, you bet up to $20,000, as little as $1,000, and then you spin. And if your horse comes up, if you bet on number 1 and you spin a 1, you gain the amount bet basically back to you. You don't lose anything, but you don't gain anything. Some people might say that's the smart bet, because if you have the best chance of losing, that's the 4 with a small little space, you gain 5,000 for every 1,000 that you put in. That hurts. So if you're okay with minimal, with not really risking anything, you have a chance to lose $20,000 if you bet on 1 and spin, and okay, you get your $20,000 back. If you bet on 4, which gives you the best chance of losing the money, you have a chance of getting $100,000 for your spin. So yeah, I guess it's playing the odds, just like race, and that is how it works. It's okay. It's a single spin, and you're there and you're done. Okay, fine. Then you get to the casino. The casino is 3 different events that you've got to do. The first one is $5,000 lets you in on the slot machine. The slot machine is another spinner. There are equal slots, 6 of them. There's the Go for Broke logo, lemon, cherry, orange, plum, and a bell. And the different combinations can get you money. You generally need, if you get 3 you have to give $5,000 to the bank to start this off. If you can spin 3 Go for Broke bars in a row, you gain $200,000, which is catastrophic in this game. If you get 2 cherries and one of the other fruits, you get a little bit of money. Well, you get a fair amount, $20,000. But if you get like 3 bells, you get $160,000. If you get 3 plums, you get $120,000. So it's a chance of getting a lot of money, but it doesn't come up that often. It's generally a way of dumping $5,000. Roulette, 36 spaces. If you've ever seen roulette, you'll be familiar with this. That's $10,000. And you'd spin. If the number you picked is spun, you gain $150,000. But this is a reliable way of getting rid of money, as you only have a 1 in, 36 chance of getting yours. So, okay, it's like getting rid of $10,000, with the possibility it could blow up spectacularly in your face. The last one is the only exciting one, really, because these spinners are not exciting. There's the Go for Broke gambling game. And this is where I like having the cup. You roll. You pay the amount of money that you rolled in thousands of dollars. So if you roll a 3 and a 6, you give $9,000. Okay. But if you roll a 1, you get $10,000. If you get snake eyes, 2 1s, you gain $50,000. After you roll, as long as you don't make any money, you can let it ride and keep rolling. We have had people lose $50,000. In one game, I remember losing $76,000 or something like that. The money that you get back rarely is going to make up for, having a couple of successful casts. It's okay. It's not the greatest gambling game in the world. It's probably got more drama than anything else that you're going to do in the game, however. So, in my mind, that is actually my favorite part of the game, is the fact that it has this little gambling game to it. Okay, so there is that. But unless you really, really love spinners, the spinners are the thing that really lights your fire, well, okay. Now, the thing that really can swing the game one way or the other are these cards. Landing on these cards can get you the ability to lose money and quite a bit of money quickly, or gain money and quite a bit of money quickly. You can get stocks, as I said, which then suddenly means the stock market matters to you. But you can gain stocks in both receive and loss. So stocks are something that they kind of want everybody to get into. The more these times you draw these cards, you will probably get some stocks. A lot of these cards will, again, send you to the racetrack, send you to the casino, send you to the stock market. There's enough reasons to go there anyhow, so yeah, there's a bunch of those. That's really lame because there's so many other ways of doing it. Give 5,000 to someone you like, a player. 5,000 is statistically a small amount, but that actually, since you're giving it to someone else, that's a swing that you can do to take on the leader or pad your lead. Other one, donate $50,000 to the Poorhouse Fund. Now, $50,000 is not statistically a small number in this game. Give $150,000 to buy a South Sea island. So some of these cards can really lose you a great deal of money. Again, it's completely random, and a lot of these cards are relatively pointless. There are so many cards that just send you to one place or another, or have astronomically small values in the context of getting rid of $1 million. And in the gain ones, there's a lot of these. Mr. Bucks gives you $2,000, or $1,000, or $3,000, or $5,000. Someone likes you, receive $1,000 from the bank. $1,000 is not, again, very statistically impressive in this game. Go to Poorhouse. That'll get you some money, generally, if any money has been given to the Poorhouse. Not as many ways of making money from these cards. They're relatively minor until they start giving you stock that you don't want. But, yeah, I mean, the receive cards are so paltry that there's almost no point in them, except to give you stock, generally. So I would call that out as kind of a broken mechanic, simply because it lacks teeth. It lacks a real compelling sense to be there. So, yeah, there's a lot of broken elements in this game that really suck the fun out of it. The fact that the track is a landmine that just sends you to the same 3 events over and over and over again, which is tedious. The fact that the stock market generally will be useless for a lot of people, and then after that it might very well swing the game one way or the other, but picking up money because you're unlucky enough to be loaded up on stocks can be, again, tedious and counterproductive. On the other hand, it's possible, if you get a lot of stocks, to flush out your bank account with a lucky roll that robs you of your money, which is fine. The over-reliance on spinner games, they're not dramatic, they're not a very exciting mechanic. And the lack of creativity that goes through it makes the game fairly bankrupt, and not in a good way for the game. It's bankrupt of fun. It's something that you can idly spend a little time on. There is a defined winner. It's pretty clear. The person who loses the money loses and wins the game, which is a novel approach. Generally, you want to acquire as much as you can in a game like this, but honestly, I'm not going to bore you with a gameplay of it. I think you can imagine exactly how it goes. You roll 2 6-sided dice. Yes, doubles let you go again. Only one time, though. You can't keep rolling doubles. And honestly, you're going to keep spending all of your time. Racetrack, casino, stock market. You're going to keep getting bounced back to those things to do the little spinner event again and again and again and again. With occasionally a flash of a card that may give you stocks, which you may not, or may want. It's up to you. It's a possibility of losing money quickly. Again, the odds say that you probably will lose money, but yeah. Yeah, all in all, I can't recommend the game unless you are a completionist and you want all of the Cell Chow and Writer games. And a lot of their games are better than this one. I mean, well, let's face it, they have their name on some of the bigger games that have been out and about. But honestly, this one is a pass. And my nostalgia rose-colored it, so I was happy when I found it. I picked this up for $4, and now that I've done my review on it, I don't know if I'll ever play it again. Quite honestly, I've got much better games out there. So, hopefully you've enjoyed this to the point where you know, more about this game. It is good to archive these games and understand where they come from. But as far as ever playing it, only if you've got nothing better to do. So, thank you for joining me here. I am Rob of CardBoard, and I'll see you next time. We'll have something far more exciting with our next gameplay with Alex and I. So, thank you, and happy rolling.